Good morning, dear friends. The topic of my brief discussion today is theoretical framework in research. Dear friends, in all business transactions, you can see a dual aspect. In all business transactions, I told in all business transactions, not in transactions. In transactions, there may be only one aspect sometimes. If we give something to somebody as charity, there is only one aspect. But in all business transactions, you can see two aspects. One receiving aspect and simultaneously one giving aspect. Even if it is not a cash transaction, you receive something or you give something against a promise that you will give it in future or you will receive it in future. So in all business transaction, there are two aspects. That is one giving aspect or receiving aspect. Same is the case of accountancy too. In accountancy or in bookkeeping, we can see that a dual aspect, one receiving aspect or one debit aspect, and whenever there is a debit aspect, there is a corresponding credit aspect also. Like that, in research also, it is a dual aspect process. You may be wondering that why I am saying that it is a dual aspect concept. I am saying with full confidence, even though all of you are undergoing through these two processes, we give less importance to one factor and we are giving more importance to the second aspect. But in the real sense, all the research scholars or all the research process, you can see two elements. They are, one is theoretical and the second one is this empirical. But we give more importance to the empirical aspect by giving less importance to theoretical. But as I told in business transaction, there are two aspects. In all research, whether we openly admit it or not, we can see two aspects, that is theoretical aspect and empirical aspect. See, dear friends, it is stated that research begins with existing theory and ends with new theory or extension of theory. So I will elaborate this point in the coming discussions. So research start with theory and it too ends with theory. To explain this argument, I am giving some of my points regarding the importance of theory or importance of theoretical framework in research. All of you agree that a research starts with the identification of a research problem. All research, whether it is applied research or theoretical research or policy research, whatever may be the area or whatever may be your intention, all research start with the research problem. And once you identify the research problem, there is a need for an extensive literature survey or an extensive literature review. As a result of this extensive literature review, you can refine your selected problem. So this literature survey or theoretical framework helps to refine your selected problem. And once you refine the selected problem, this problem is converted into research questions. And once these questions are ready, again through this theoretical framework or through the help of theory, you can see that, or these research questions, there are two aspects. All research questions, as I told in the beginning, you can see two aspects. They are theoretical and empirical. Then, so again, I am coming back to the first introduction, that is why there is a need for theoretical framework. As I told that all research problem, through literature review, it refine the research questions, and once you refine or once you define the research questions, you are searching for answers, and this searching process through two stages, theoretical framework and empirical investigation. And there comes the importance of this theoretical framework. In theoretical framework, first of all, we explain a phenomena under study. Then we restrict that phenomena into research questions. And once research questions are there, through the help of theoretical review, you can find tentative answers, answers for the time being, or the answers that you are getting from theory. And once you arrive at these answers, you can very easily go to the hypothesis formulation. So hypothesis is nothing but the tentative answers based on the theoretical framework, or your research questions. After framing your research questions, you are having an extensive theoretical review or extensive review. And as a result of that theory, you get some input, you get some insight, which you can call, for the time being, they are the answers. And when these answers are framed in a systematic manner, when it is examinable for statistical testing, you can call it as hypothesis. And ultimately, these hypotheses, from these hypotheses, we have to reach to the final answers. And accordingly, so up to the hypothesis formulation, the first part, that is the theoretical framework, is there. And after, once you frame the hypothesis, to some extent the theoretical framework comes to an end, not an end, for the time being. Then you go to the field, that is the second aspect, or the, as I told that, there are two aspects, theoretical aspect and empirical evidence. So after framing the hypothesis, you are going to the second aspect, that is empirical evidence, that is data collection, data analysis, inferences, etc. Unfortunately, most of the researchers give more importance to the second aspect without knowing that the second aspect comes only from the first aspect. Just like that, a science student goes to a practical class only after attending a theory class. So if he is attending a practical class without a theory class, sometimes he will get an answer, but that is not a conclusive answer. That may be a trial and error. Sometimes he will get a correct answer, sometimes he may not get a correct answer. So science students, to have a good answer, a systematic answer, first of all, he should attend a very good theory class, or a very good theoretical understanding is necessary. Then only he can go to the practical class and he can do the experiment. Like that, in research too, we should have some theoretical framework, a very good theoretical foundation. Then only we can move to the empirical evidence. So if you ask, what's the meaning of theoretical framework? In one way, I can say that it is an explanation of the observed natural or social phenomena. So, theoretical framework, through theoretical framework, we are trying to search for explanations of an observed natural or social phenomena. Of course, this is the sum and substance of research. In research, what we are doing? We are finding answers to something. Answers to something means something, some problem or some issue exists in the society, or some issue is there. And for that issue, we are trying to solve how that issue can be solved. And as a result, to a probable extent, we can find answers to that particular issue. Even the Siddhartha became Sri Buddha just because of research, because he found that a lot of people in and around him are living in poverty, but he is having sufficient wealth and all the resources. He started research why the people around him are suffering from this, which led him, even though he couldn't solve that poverty issue or the problems of the society, he himself converted from Siddhartha into Sri Buddha. So that is the effect of research. So research, a search for explanations of observed natural or social phenomena. These explanations, when we are giving these explanations to a research issue, it forms, or it takes the form of a conceptual model, and this conceptual model is the theoretical framework. So theoretical framework is nothing but explanations to an issue which is framed in a particular manner, and which we can call it as conceptual model. Or from my point of view, I can give another name for this theoretical framework. This is nothing but a conceptual model, and in that conceptual model, we identify variables and we establish relationship variables, or we can call it as concept. In the beginning, before variables, first of all, we come with the concept, and when we assign values to concept, then only it becomes variable. Anyway, first of all, in research, we have to identify the concept, and these concepts should be related in a particular manner, which we can call it as a conceptual model, or we can call it as a theoretical framework. Then, as I told that, it's a theoretical framework means a conceptual model. So we can see what is a concept. A concept is nothing but an abstraction denoting a specific characteristics of a particular person, object, or event. Once again, concept is an abstraction denoting a specific characteristics of a person, object, or event. These concepts basically of two types: simple concept as well as complex concept. Simple concept means, for example, weight of a person, age of a person, height of a person, etc. are examples of simple concept in a physical study. Whereas beauty or intelligence, they are called complex concept. Why they are called complex? Because beauty, we are not studying only a single aspect. A combination of so many things comes into beauty. So also intelligence. In intelligence also, a combination of factors, even the health of that particular student or health of that being, that human being, is having its contribution to intelligence. Not only health, so many his surroundings, his colleagues, and all these things contribute to intelligence. So concept may be simple concept, for example, weight or height, or complex concept like this beauty or intelligence. So this is called a concept. The importance of concept is that, as I told that, another term for this theoretical framework, from my own point of view, it is a conceptual model, and that is why I introduced the term, not introduced, all of you have already studied the term concept. So for concept to have a better understanding, or for dealing in empirical investigation, we need to have some operational definitions, or we have to give some explanations to the concept, which we can call it as operational definitions or working definitions. So the concept, the abstract idea need to be clearly defined. So this clear definition of the concept, that is what is called operational definition. So operational definition is different from conceptual definitions. So when you give your own explanations to the present study situation, it is called operational definitions. So operational definitions or working definitions is a must for having a better identification of variables, etc. So all the concept need to be defined in working terms, especially if the concept is a complex concept, there is a need for operational definitions. So operational definition is nothing but an elaborate meaning of a particular concept. Elaborate meaning from the perspective of the researcher. So if you explain a particular concept from the perspective of a researcher for his empirical investigation, his second stage, it is called operational definitions. So it is essential for converting this concept into variable. Then, so concept, as I told, that an abstract of a particular characteristics, and this concept you have to convert into variable. And in the process of converting that concept into variable, we can come across with two more terms, that is dimensions and elements. When the concept is subdivided, or the subcomponents or sub-themes of this concept, they are called dimensions. I will give examples. When this dimensions is again subdivided, it becomes elements. And when you assign value or measurement, when you assign value to elements, it becomes variables. So concept, the concept is separated, or is the divided, or the components of concept, you can call it as dimensions. I will give an example. Then from dimensions, again you need to divide into subpoints, then it becomes elements. Then these elements should be used as questionnaire items for collection of primary data. Then you have to assign values to these elements, which we technically called as measurement. I will give an example. See, job satisfaction you can take as a concept. And this job satisfaction is subdivided into 3 dimensions: the work involved, relation with the superior, then social status. So job satisfaction is not a simple concept, it is a complex concept. So there is a need for a well-defined operational definitions, and I am defining the job satisfaction as a sum of the work involvement, relationship with the superior, and social status of that particular job. And again, so these work involved, relation with the superior, social status, these are the dimensions. And this work involved, again, you can divide it into the nature of the work, the pressure of the work environment, like that it goes. So also relation with the superior, you can see the guidance that you are receiving from the superior, the recognition that you are getting from your superior, the comfort level in which you are working, the working environment. So all these facts are related to the relation with the superior. Again, social status. You make a self-assessment of your own job. Again, you also assess how the others, the society feels about your job. So these things, the nature of work, the pressure of work, the work environment or guidance, recognition, comfort level, self-assessment, society perception, etc. They are called, they are not the concept, they are not the dimensions, they are the elements. So in primary data, you are assigning values to these elements, and when these elements are combined, you can arrive at the work involvement or relationship or social status, that you can arrive at the dimensions, and then these dimensions you are merged into job satisfaction. Actually, it is a conceptual model. Job satisfaction, you are framing like that. Or in the case of a bank, you can see that profitability of a bank. When you simply hear profitability, you may say that profitability means profit is related to some return on capital employed or sales or something like that, a relationship with profit or profit with that of sales. But if you make a very good review of literature or a very good theoretical, if you make a very good theoretical understanding, you can see that profit of a bank you can divide it into 2, that is spread and burden. So these are the 2 dimensions, spread and burden. Then spread you can again divide it into interest income and interest expenses. You can take it as elements. So also burden. Burden is a dimension, and this dimension is divided into elements like non-interest income and non-interest expense. So from non-interest income, you have to deduct the non-interest expense, then you can arrive at the burden. So also from interest income, you have to deduct the interest expenses, then you can arrive at the spread. When you add spread and burden, you can arrive at the profit of a bank. Then profit is related to capital employed, there comes profitability. This is also another conceptual model. So if you make this kind of a model, the second stage, that is the empirical or the field study or data collection, will be much more easy. But most of our students, especially I am speaking from social science perspective, most of our social science students, they give only less importance to theoretical aspect. One way or other way, just like a science students without attending a practical class, he go to the lab and do some practical experiment and get result out of it by virtue of, it's a trial and error result he is getting. Like that, some of our social science research scholars, they give only less importance to theoretical framework and they go to the field without knowing what is theoretical framework. Once again, I would like to say that in your research report, if there are only 4 chapters, and the 4 chapters, quite normally the first chapter would be introduction and the last chapter would be the summary of findings, suggestion and conclusion. In between, the 3rd chapter, of course, data analysis and interpretation, and before that, or the 2nd chapter must be theoretical framework. So once again, if there are only 4 chapters in a thesis, the 2nd chapter should be if first chapter is introduction, the 2nd chapter should be theoretical framework, then only you can go for data analysis. And what is the need for this kind of an arrangement? Because data analysis, as I told, just like a practical exercise. So without giving a theoretical understanding, you cannot explain the empirical data that you had collected, because it is said that A research, the most important quality of a research report is that it must be self-explanatory. The report may be reviewed after your grandchildren or something like that. At that time, you may not be there in the society, or you may not be here in the field itself. So they cannot telephone you and they cannot ask any questions if your research report remain unanswered some of the aspects. So a research report should be fully explanatory, and for that a theory chapter is a must. And some of the students that I had seen that, for example, just like profitability of commercial bank is their topic. They don't know what they need to write in the theory chapter. They start from the commercial bank in America, commercial bank in India, commercial bank in Kerala, commercial bank in Thiruvananthapuram, etc. They conclude the theory chapter. Actually, what is needed in the theory chapter is nothing like these things. What is needed in the theory chapter is, as I told, what are the issues that you are going to examine in the data analysis chapter? Its sufficient explanation is required in theory chapter. So that is the need of theory chapter. So in theory chapter, if needed, you can see the growth of commercial bank, etc. in America or something like that. But actually, in theory chapter, what is needed is a sufficient explanation of the variables that you are going to examine or you are going to analyze in the subsequent chapter, in the data analysis chapter. So all the variables that you are analyzing in the data analysis chapter, its sufficient introduction should be given in the theory chapter. And that is the importance of this theoretical framework or theory chapter. Then variable, okay, as I told that variable is nothing but you are assigning values to concept if there is only concept, and if you divide the concept into dimensions and from dimensions you are coming to the elements, you have to assign values to the elements, then it becomes variable. So variable is nothing but putting values to elements or dimensions or concept, then it is called variable. But anyway, the theoretical meaning of variable is that variable can take on differing or varying values, or anything which can take differing or varying values, it is called a variable. These values may be different at different point of time, it may be different for different persons like that. For example, weight of a person today may not be the weight of that particular person tomorrow. Like that, weight of a particular person may be different from that of the weight of another person. So that is why I told that variable is anything that can take on differing or varying values. So, for example, weight, as I told, weight, sales, job satisfaction, income, then poverty indicator, then this intelligence level, etc. are examples of variable. That is a different thing. Anyway, just it comes under theoretical framework. That is why only I just introduced the variable. Anyway, there are different types of variable that is all of you know. Dependent variable, independent variable, moderating variable. Moderating variable means the variable which increase the influence of this independent variable over dependent variable. Intervening variable means which reduce the influence of dependent variable, or which reduce the influence of independent variable over the dependent variable. Then there are an extraneous variable. In an experiment, of course, if you study the relationship between dependent and independent variable, there are some external factors which won't come under that experiment, which is called extraneous variable. And for studying that extraneous variable in research work, along with the experimental group, we identify a control group also. So the main object of identifying the control group is to exclude the extraneous variable from the experimental group. Then you can see discrete variable, continuous variable. Discrete variable means, of course, it can take only a particular values, only with a definite interval. The values can be 1. After 1, it can be 2. For example, number of furniture is an example of a discrete variable. After 1 furniture, you can have only 2 furniture. Whereas continuous variable means the concept or element which can possess any value. For example, age. Age of a person can be 20, or it can be 20.2 months, or it can be 20.23 months, or it can be 3 years, or 3.5, like that. These are called continuous. So continuous variable means it can take any values, no fixed interval. But in discrete variable, you can see fixed interval. For example, number of furniture, number of television, number of vehicles, etc. are examples of discrete variable. Actually, the variable itself is a particular area in which we have to make a deep understanding. Just I mentioned the variable just as it appears as a part of the theoretical work. then when you study the evolution of theoretical framework, you can see that a very good literature review is essential. Literature review means we should have a deep understanding of all the existing studies in the relevant area. Along with the previous studies, we should have a very good understanding about the existing theories about that particular phenomena in which you are going to make an investigation. Then, so a very good understanding of the previous studies, then existing theories, then you have to apply your own reasoning. There comes a finishing point of this theoretical framework. So in theoretical framework, you can review the previous studies, you can go through the existing theories, because you are studying the existing theories, you are coming with, of course, after the research, sometimes you may come with new theories. Okay, so for that you should know what are the existing theories. Then to this existing theories and to this existing studies, you have to add your own logical reasoning, your own brain you need to apply. Then only you become a researcher. Okay, dear friends, with these words I am concluding to my presentation. Through this short presentation, what I tried is nothing but to state the importance of theoretical framework or importance of theory in research. Of course, most of the researchers, especially in social science, they give overemphasis for empirical investigation or field study. They are devoting a lot of their time, effort and even money for testing, applying statistical tools, etc. over the data collected. But to have a correct or concrete data, or to make this data to be perfect, first of all, they should have some theoretical understanding, and that is the importance of this theoretical framework. So in brief, a theoretical framework describes the concept, it describes the dimensions, it describes the elements and ultimately variables which that you are assigning values to elements, dimensions or concept through the second stage of your study through empirical. So for going to the second stage, first of all, you have to go through the first stage. Only after entering through the first stage, you can enter the second stage. Then only you will get a correct answer. Otherwise, if you make a jumping without going through the first stage, sometimes you may get an answer, but it may not be a correct answer or it may not be a concrete answer. Maybe because of your luck, you may be getting some answers. But this is the correct route. First of all, you should have a thorough conceptual model or theoretical understanding. And for this, you should have to identify the concept, dimensions, elements, and ultimately variables. And after identifying the variable, in the case, just as I told, a conceptual model, you have to make a relationship between variables. As I told, the profitability of a bank, profitability is not only profit is related to capital and profit, two components, spread and burden is again divided into interest income, interest expense, non-interest income, non-interest expense, like that. You have to relate these variables, and a variable should brought into a conceptual model. And if you have a conceptual model, there itself you get some answers to your questions. And that answers are not final answers, they are only tentative answers which you can call it as hypothesis. So hypothesis came from a very detailed theoretical understanding, or if you have a conceptual model, hypothesis formulation is not at all a problem. So hypothesis, all of you know the meaning, tentative answers, time being, they are the answers, then you are going to check it. So based on your theory, these are the answers. So a half stage of your research is almost over, and that is the importance of this theoretical framework. So after hypothesis, next the empirical study, and ultimately again you are coming back to theory. As I told in the first stage itself, all research begins with research and ends with research. So after empirical study or empirical investigation, what you are contributing, even if it is this theoretical research or pure research leads to applied research. Sometimes some people say that, so no, it's not my area is not a theoretical research, my area is to solve a particular problem, so I am giving only less importance. But all of you have to remember that all applied research, its brain or its seed come from theoretical research. theoretical research contributes something. These are the findings without any immediate intention of application. But the application research or the applied research people, they take the seed from theoretical research, and this seed they make some value addition and put into practice, and they get patent or something like that. But these theoretical people, they have no such intention. Their intention is the academic contribution or theory building. So they put an end to this theoretical research by contributing something to the theory. So theory building is the theory building or theory testing. Theory building means you are introducing a new addition to the existing body of theory, which we can call it as induction. Induction means something you found out and that you are applying that. These phenomena can be applied in a broader perspective. That is your own contribution. That is what is called theory building, which was not absent in the theory as of today. You contribute it in the field, which you can call it as theory building or induction. And another aspect is also there, theory testing. Some of the motivation theories which were practiced in America, you are going to practice whether that motivation theory is applicable in Indian environment or it is practicable in Kerala environment. In Kerala, trade unions are so strong. So you are going to examine whether the motivation theory is practiced in America can be practiced in Kerala environment or something like that. So it is a theory testing aspect, because in America they already established this motivation theory through that particular stage. The employees can be motivated, and that theory you are putting into practice in Kerala environment or in Thiruvananthapuram. Then it is called theory testing, which you can call it as deduction. Why it is called deduction? Because it is a broad theory. It was practiced in such and such places, and you are applying whether that theory is can be practiced in a particular environment. That is deduction. So all the research, whether it is applied research or policy research, everything start with theory and ends with theory. Either it contribute a new theory, or it test an existing theory and endorse the existing theory, or it challenge the existing theory. And there ends my presentation. Thank you. So if you have any further queries or like that, you can reach me through this mail ID. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you. Thank you all.